I think we should be getting paid more for what we have to do on a job and provide to a client and deal with. Our rates are rubbish, when you compare them to the rest of the trades and things. Generally, like
100%.
anything goes wrong, even if it was one of the subbies, it's somehow it's our fault because we had the project manager, and it's like, yeah, it's difficult,
What is success to you?
I think it was a learn to love it experience.
And there's always pitfalls that you can fall in, but then you've got no one else to blame but yourself.
Number one thing if you're struggling is to catch other people about it.
Guys, before we start this episode, let me just quickly jump in here just to thank our content partners, Abodo, for supporting Better Builder. We love what these guys stand for, especially around their sustainability and biodiversity. Abodo is actually thinking way beyond just sustainability, and we know that that is important to more and more clients that builders work with. And all from a family-owned company as well. So thanks, Abodo. We love what you guys do. Now let's kick into this episode. Troy Jury, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You were probably one of the guys from the get when after our first episode. You were like messaging me and emailing me, like being like, "Yeah, good job, mate," but some feedback and like make sure you get some good guys on. Like you've just been like reaching out and being helpful and supportive. So yeah, really appreciate it.
No, it was good. I really enjoyed the first episode with the lads at Fortified. Obviously know them from a few chats at Archipro nights and things. So yeah, it was good. It was
No, it's been awesome, and definitely been anticipated getting you on, But let's tell me a little bit more because I don't actually know. How do you got the early days? Where did you grow up? Did you grow up around Auckland or?
Yes, I born in Auckland. Grew up in Auckland. Went to St Heliers Primary.
Okay. Yeah.
Grew up in Glen Innes, sort of I guess East Auckland really. Went to school around there, St Heliers Primary. Not really too sure what to say about the school side. I was mainly there just to play bull rush and tiggy at lunchtime, anything other than sitting still in the classroom. I suppose in terms of my early years, I was just full noise into sports and anything sports really.
Yeah, what sort of sports did you play?
Rugby, obviously.
Cool.
Just played rugby from as early as I could. I was 5 years old.
What position?
First five, fullback. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, Dad coached all of our team. Our team's grown right through to about 13. So that was good and bad. But yeah, super competitive on the sports side of things. And yeah, I've always enjoyed, having a good battle at something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you, and then when you went, so you played rugby all the way up till?
I played up to under 19s.
Yeah.
So played rugby and cricket actually. So generally like winter was full noise rugby, summer cricket, same thing. Dad coached us in cricket as well. So didn't get an escape from that. Always had to be an hour before training and an hour after training, as you do. Always at the games early and things, so couldn't escape it. But it was good.
Yeah.
Certainly taught me about commitment and drive. Not that I had a choice, but yeah, I definitely appreciate it now later in life.
Yeah. And what was the vibe with your dad? Was he like quite a stern guy? Or what was it? What was the vibe there?
Yeah, he was definitely, when it came to training and game day and things like that. Yeah, super super focused on what we were there to do. So yeah, there was definitely no mucking around, and if at training you train like you play. So yeah, that was good. It was great. Outside of that, pretty normal. As I say, he was kind of stay-at-home dad with us, and Mum did the work side. So yeah,
cool.
It was pretty cool, but different back in those, in the 90s. So
yeah,
but yeah, definitely had an impact on, I think, me as a day-to-day person now. Yeah.
In what way?
For sure. I think just the that once you're committed to something, seeing it through, turning up, giving it your best, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who was Troy in high school? What kind of guy were you? Were you the troublemaker? Were you the jock, the hippie? Who are you?
Well, yeah, high school. I guess you call it like college, like Form 3 onwards. I didn't last very long, to be honest. Yeah, I only did 3rd and 4th form. When I was there, yeah, like I say, in the classroom, I was probably a bit of a problem. I didn't like sitting still. Sort of felt like I wasn't really meant to be there. And I guess looking back at it now, I was definitely trying to figure out ways to not be there. So yeah, being 37 now, I'd say I was probably just a little shit, really. Yeah, there's no two ways about it. So the opposite of what I want my kids to be like. But yeah, as I say, only lasted 3rd and 4th form. And at that point, I was just trying to find a way out.
Yeah. And then what, 5th form, then when 5th form came around, you were just like, nah, I'm going to go find a job or something?
Yeah, I mean, I brought the subject up with my parents, a couple of times, and they weren't very impressed with me wanting to leave school, despite obviously, it wasn't for me. But they sort of said, as long as you've got a full-time job, that was the main thing. I wasn't just going to be sitting around doing nothing. That wasn't going to fly. So in terms of building, it kind of just happened. I'd never really thought about getting into building, knew nothing about it. I was actually just sitting in the bakery just up from Selwyn College, where I went to Selwyn College. And there's a bakery pretty much across the road from school. I was sitting there, I think I was getting some hot chips or something, and this old guy, he would have been, I say old, but he's probably my age now, but yeah, he was probably mid-40s, wanders in with this other young fella. He was the classic builder, stubbies that looked 10 years old, woolly socks, just the classic, oversized singlet on. It was the summertime. And he was actually just talking to someone in the bakery about needing an apprentice, or needing another guy on site, and I was just kind of listening in, and it just kind of came out. I just sort of said, I want to leave school, and sort of knocked up a conversation with him while he was waiting for his food, and he literally just said, "Oh, cool, we'll see you Monday morning," and yeah, that was how it kind of started. So that was start of 5th form. Wow. Didn't end well. Yeah. So I think I only lasted about 4 weeks with him, and I turned up to site, and true to the stories, was just thrown into grunt work. It was just a real rude awakening to, I don't know what I thought I was going into. Builder. I kept calling them build houses. No, it wasn't that. It was like, I think the first day was under the house, just clearing crap out from under an old house, and then digging some new piles and things, repiling the house, which I now know now, didn't know anything about. I just thought I was under the house back then. So yeah, I was under the house, just clearing crap out, digging some holes, sweeping up. Yeah, hated it. Absolutely hated it. So yeah, lasted about 4 weeks, and then I think I pretty much just texted him or called him and just said, "Oh, no, it's not for me," and he could care less. He was just like, "Oh, cool, see you later," on to the next guy. So yeah, that didn't go down well, and I actually did a full U-turn and took a job at Just Jeans, thinking like, I don't know, typical 15-year-old, just thinking, this is going to be cool, get free jeans. I was into a bit of skateboarding and stuff, so I was like, nice. Whatever's, there'll be girls there and all the rest of it, thinking, and I'll just earn doing that. Same thing, lasted about a month, hated it, just standing around the shop. Just putting jeans on the shelf just was worse than school.
Jean specialist.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, at that point I kind of started to feel a little bit like, man, what am I doing? I didn't really have any idea. As say, weekends were just party and skate with my mates, and obviously sports and things. That was all still happening. But career-wise and where I was at, was sort of had kind of run its course. So I think, just thinking back, I think there might have been I left that job, there might have been a couple of weeks where I just didn't know what I was doing, and then I decided, I'll try and find another job doing building. Again, we'll give this another crack. I enjoyed the physical side of the work. I think I just thought it was below me when I got in there, a bit of a bum boy doing this crap work and getting bossed around, I think it was just the initial shock. But what I did enjoy was just the smoko chats and the hard work and stuff, and it was obviously good for footballers, for rugby training, bit of physical activity and things. So at this point I didn't really know what I was doing, so I applied for another job, and I ended up getting a job with Encol Construction. They're based in Penrose, as a labourer trying to get an apprenticeship, obviously. They had been around for just over 100 years, so a really established company, one of the oldest in New Zealand. I believe they actually started out back in the days of Fletcher's, early days in the Fletcher's, and built a lot of the houses for the Navy and stuff like that, going way back. Real old school company. I think the youngest qualified guy there would have been in his mid-30s. They had about half a dozen apprentices on their books at different stages, and roughly around about 60, 70 guys, I think, thinking back, something like that.
Wow.
But very, very old school company. I took a job with them. They had a joinery side to the company as well, which was cool. Had never done that, but initially just got thrown back out on site, and right back to where I was. I think, like, reflecting back on the first couple of months being back on site, there was definitely a mindset change. I think I probably had a better attitude going back into it. I knew what to expect. I knew it was going to be shit. But also there was half a dozen older guys there that were, probably in their mid-50s, late 40s, mid-50s. They had been carpenters their whole life, and obviously moved into being a foreman and were just running jobs. And I got some pretty good advice from them early on, just to put my head down and just don't talk back, just turn up, be reliable. And then I kind of just tied that back into what my dad had taught me with football and sports and things, was just that you just got to keep going, be committed to it, and so there was a bit of a mindset change with it, and I definitely looked around and was sort of sizing up some of the other apprentices and was like, okay, I think I can be better than this guy. And
the rugby mind's coming through.
Like the competitive side was definitely like there, and I think that was a big change for me. It was kind of I started looking at it from that side of things. It was like, okay, well, if I'm going to be here, I'm earning good money for what I thought it was. It was better than what I was getting at Just Jeans, and I was like, it could certainly be worse. And the advice I'd had was, work hard and do your apprenticeship, and you can have a good career, you can earn good money and as wages, and that was enough for me. Just started turning up, putting my hand up to work weekends, always trying to be on site first, off site last. If I got given a shitty job, it was like, yeah, cool, try and do it as quick as possible. Just wanted to feel like the foreman they would want me on their job, essentially. Like I wanted to be the guy that they could, whether it was before my apprenticeship, and then as I got my apprenticeship the first year, just being the guy that you'd want to have on your site, that you could rely on. And so that was kind of like my real first sort of sort of taste of actually getting into the trade
Yeah.
properly.
And then did you go all the way through your apprentice through with that company as well, or did you end up moving on to something else?
Yeah, no. So I mean, same thing. As I saw other apprentices move on and jump around to other companies, I definitely didn't want to do that. I felt pretty privileged to be in a company like that, but just purely because a lot of the guys that were around me had so much experience, and the work that the Encol were doing, it was always high end, so we were doing, one of the first jobs I worked on was Bill Stevenson's place. It was a house out in Cockle Bay.
Cool.
He owns Stevenson's Concrete, if anyone doesn't know
yeah.
who that is. Amazing house, still got a couple of pictures of it, these days. There's actually one on our Instagram, and, all curved walls and things like this. So pretty early on realised that this was a good company to be with, and it was hard, don't get me wrong. The work was good, and there was good advice and kind of mentorship with it, but there was no mucking around. It was like, if you did something wrong, you were going to get yelled at, or you were going to get told that was rubbish and to go back to the yard and spend a couple of days there. You definitely had to be thick-skinned. So
do you think that's that's really good, because it's good that you stuck it out and stayed with them the entire time of your apprenticeship. So probably for new apprentices, you'd recommend that as well. Like, don't sort of move around too much. Like, find a good company, stick with them.
Yeah, for sure. I think like everything, that worked for me. I think for a lot of apprentices, and even for apprentices that I now have these days, sometimes the match is not going to work, and so moving around is cool. A big thing for me is just leaving on good terms, still doing your best. You can just disagree with your boss, that's cool. Or for me, it was like, when I was an apprentice, if I disagreed with the foreman, that was who it was. I didn't even get to speak to the boss. That wasn't happening. It was like, if you burned the bridge with the foreman, there was a couple of other options, and once you'd burned through those, you were gone. I didn't go down that road. I pretty much stuck with the same foreman and team most of my apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And builders. Again, because I just didn't want to be the guy that was like, no, we don't want him on the job, sort of thing. So if I was nowadays, when I'm talking to my apprentices and things, it's really just about having them be fully committed to it. We don't have to get on a personal level, but just being reliable, turning up, working hard, able to take a bit of shit, because it's just part of it, and not in a way that's degrading or anything like that. But if you're not doing something, if you're not working hard enough, just respect that. If you're told you're not working hard enough, it's probably because that person knows you can put in more effort, and they can see that. And I would say 9 out of 10 apprentices out there can take that on board, pretty well.
Yeah.
And it's just part of it. You've got to be a little bit thick-skinned.
Yeah, for sure. We had talking about apprentices and that, we had one of your old apprentices on a few weeks back. Bex the Builder, Rebecca, and she, a lot of what she talked about is that sort of leadership style from the top down, and that makes a big difference. From talking to her, from talking to some other people that have worked in your orbit, you seem to focus a lot on that leadership, the leadership aspect of things. And I think maybe that's come, I don't know, you could tell maybe that's come from the rugby days and maybe approaching like a coach or something. But what are sort of, some of the leadership aspects that you've learned over the years, and what does it mean for you to be a good leader? Yeah,
I think, when you're talking about a builder, everything starts at your apprenticeship. And I think maybe Henry mentioned this as well, but most builders that have been in the game a fair amount of time will know within 1 or 2 days whether someone's got the skills and attributes to actually progress through into leadership roles. So, foreman or leading hand initially. So for me, that's always a big one. I do like to give someone a real good chance at proving that without adding too much input about what I think. So generally, like when I have apprentices start with us, I won't say too much early on, and I do like to sort of feed off what the foreman are thinking, what other people are thinking first. I think I kind of just observe. Obviously, I look at things like timesheets and what time they live in site and things like that. So I think it definitely starts there. And then, I mean, yeah, they can also start really well, which can be detrimental to them down the line because they start with such a bang that to continue that on is quite hard, given that, different jobs, different sites, different foremen, it doesn't always work. But most of the time, those that turn up, go hard from the start, really do end up in roles where they're progressing quite quickly, quite early on. We certainly have a few guys with us at the moment that have those attributes and things, and Bex was 100% was one of them that I noticed probably not immediately, like she said, she was very nervous, and even for myself, it was the first female we had hired, so there was a lot of questions to be asked and answered, but she was someone that just went from strength to strength, and continues to do so outside of QBS, which is cool. It's obviously great to, she's a awesome cover girl for that sort of stuff, along with a few other females in NZ that are doing really well too. But from seeing her progress through, yeah, she was very, very, very good. Yeah.
Yeah. What are the differences between hiring a guy versus hiring a girl or female for you? Like, would you do it again? I mean, I know Bex had particularly a unique kind of attitude towards life, and she was kind of very much like a good attitude, go get her head down, just work. Would you recommend people hiring?
Oh, absolutely. Bex was the first for us. We have two females with us at the moment. One who's on a 90-day trial at the moment, and Tanya, who's been with us, I think she's now just over 2 years as well. So, we will continue to hire both. For me, there's no difference in when I'm interviewing. It doesn't matter to me. Obviously, I've got 3 daughters of my own, so there's no bias to that at all. And, Bex is a tiny little thing, she'll tell you that. And if she can do what she did, so can anyone can do it,
When I had the interview with her, I felt like I said even in the interview, I was like, I feel like I'm in the 1950s being like, whoa, women in the office? How's that? So I did feel like a bit weird, even like leaning so much into it. But yeah. I mean, it is different. It's unusual. There's not a lot of women on construction sites.
Yeah. So. The hard thing for me, I think, would be that it'll be hard for anyone to better what Bex did with us. Putting aside that she was the first female we had, but she actually just 150% committed to every part of it, whether it was the hard graft, the actual carpentry work, the paperwork and the book side, the studying side, listening, putting her hand up, asking questions at the right time, not all the time, but at the right times, just spending time on my place, building my house, sometimes just to help out. She did everything right. So for me, putting her against another female would be probably unfair. And that's why I think, she's a great role model. What she says is how it is. And I think I'd love to have 3 or 4 more Bexes, that'd be great. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. You seem to like, just from what I've seen around, you seem to like you're a guy that kind of gives a shit and not scared to speak your mind, Why, my question would be, why are you focusing so much on your, with your social media? You got a good following, you're always on there, like happy to share advice and not even from a point of like, from the top or anything, you're just happy to like, give back to builders and help them out. And what's that about? Like, why? I mean, it's awesome, but what sort of drives you to want to like put so much effort into creating content and stuff for other builders when you, to be honest, you could just be using your social media to target future clients.
Yeah.
or prospects, but you spend so much time on your social media talking to builders and trying to help them. Why do that?
Yeah, it's not something that I set out to do, and even day to day, I don't sort of wake up and go, who can I hate the word influence. That word I can't stand it, because I'm definitely not an influencer.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not trying to be an influencer or anything like that. I set up that page initially because I didn't think many builders were doing that and using Instagram for what it was. It was just to put pictures on and add some content to it, and it's kind of evolved. And for me, even today, it is just a place for me to send my clients to look at a portfolio of work in terms of our page. And then the stories, the stories is kind of the fun part. You can throw some stuff up on there. I've had to learn the hard way, what to put up and what not to put up, and to really think about what I'm saying and the impact that can have on people and things. But I certainly didn't set out to do any of that. I do enjoy it, and I love talking to other builders and apprentices or people wanting to do apprenticeships. That's what keeps me doing it, essentially, because I do get a lot of private messages from people just asking questions, and it's nice to feel like you're helping someone. We have a whole heap of followers. I'm sure some of them are just there just because they're just following us, but I know there's probably a big chunk of them that are there because they just want someone they can ask a question or get some advice from. So that's what keeps me motivated to keep posting stuff and sharing my opinion on what's working for me. That's not to say that's going to work for everyone. And my opinion is based off trialing a lot of things and going through a lot of pains and losses and wins and do's and don'ts and things. And I love that we get messages from, some of the best companies in Auckland, guys that I am actively competing with on pricing and stuff. I'll get messages from them asking me for my opinion on something. And then I'll get messages from guys that have literally just had their first day on site, or a girl who's had her first day on site, or, so.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
I've even had my business partner with Harper, Johnny, he even said that in the past he's messaged you some stuff and then you'll message him back. And I think it's very countercultural because there's the culture out there is really sort of guys keeping everything close to their chest, people not sharing much, and that sort of comes from maybe having maybe a bit of like a scarcity mindset potentially, and don't want to share too much information because they may lose out on a slice of the pie. Maybe.
Yeah, and it's a fine line because it's really hard to put stuff out there and not annoy some people or rub people up the wrong way. What you say might work for a few hundred of your followers, and then there's 10 guys that get really annoyed with what you say, and so you have to be willing to accept that, and I do 100%. I mean, it's like I say, it's what works for me, and the beauty of all of it is if it gets too much, you just hit that button and unfollow, and maybe you come back down the line and maybe you don't. I mean, for me, like I said, it's just about trying to help people with some advice. And also, I'm still learning. I end up in big discussions with these people, and I pick up things along the way as well. So, yeah, I think it's a positive thing. And in terms of like why people don't want to do it, I think they're just probably scared of saying the wrong thing, and yeah. But also, it's a full-time job doing that stuff as well, and it has its moments where it's like, it's too much.
Yeah,
I've actually been probably less active in the last 15 months than what I usually would be, or what I have been in past years. It does get a lot. It is a bit on top of business, and at the moment, obviously, the industry's slow, and it's a bit of a slog and a grind out there. So less time on that stuff, but. Yeah.
Let's talk about your company. So QBS, what's your company sort of structure? Like, how many guys have you got working there at the moment, and sort of office versus, and then obviously you have office people. What's the setup?
Yeah, so man, it's an ever evolving thing. This is year 15. So I started this when I was just turned 23. started myself. Literally left Encol, moved into just doing fences and decks. Right through my apprenticeship, I was doing weekend jobs for myself, so it gave me a little bit of insight into just talking to clients. You know, small couple of $1,000 here and there jobs, but sending an invoice and stuff, but had no idea what I was walking into. But yeah, so right now we have a team of 18, which is really comfortable and manageable for me. Over the last 15 years, I kind of like to split into 5-year periods, because I feel like that's where the biggest changes have been. So the first 5 years, I went from myself to, at 5 years we had 40, just under 45 guys.
Wow.
Which was crazy. I look back at it now and I just think to myself, like, oh man, that was just mental. Had no idea what I was doing from a business point of view at all. It was just like, just win work, win as much of it as you can, get it all on charge up, and just do it. You know, just make it work. So yeah, that was the first 5 years. At about year 7, really started seeing some problems and things, just with cash flow and taking on too much work, underpricing work, and having to reduce margins just to get jobs to ensure that we didn't lose workers, and so essentially just doing jobs for the sake of doing jobs. Thought I was making money, I wasn't. I was going backwards, and yeah, just went through the pains of that for a few years. At about year 10, so in terms of staff and stuff, we went up and down. You know, we would go sort of between 30 and 40 guys generally for that first 10 years.
It was all just charge up at that point?
Mostly charge up, yeah. I was really reluctant on taking on fixed price contracts. And then, yeah, look, I made a massive mistake at about year 10. Sorry, it was about 2016. Made a massive mistake, took on a huge renovation. Couldn't help myself. It was a great job, but put a fixed price on it. Didn't spend enough time on it. We had a lot of other work going as well, so it just wasn't resourced correctly to run it. Looking back at it now, it just annoys me so much, because it really cost me. And it kind of came at the worst time too, because I wasn't running the business right. So we got hit with a tax bill, both business and personal. So that became due. Went and thought I was doing great, so bought myself a beautiful RS6, $200,000 car. What an idiot! Lost $70,000 on that. Just all these things hit at once. But ultimately, really cocked up this fixed price job. And nearly lost the business. Yeah, it was ended up. A lot of other things happen, and that starts impacting your cash flow and jobs and things. But ultimately, ended up sitting at my table at my house with a liquidator and my wife and my mum, and the guy's in a full suit, the 5-piece suit, sitting there, and he's like, right, just give us 50K. And we'll wash this up right now. You're not getting out of this. You got too many debts and revenue and things like this. And I just sort of sat there, and didn't even know what to say really. And yeah, he left my house, and I was just like, okay, that's it. We're done, sort of thing. And then yeah, I don't know if it was just my childhood kicked back in again. It was just that refusal to lay down and die kind of vibe. I know we had a couple of young kids. I was just like, nah, like I can't give up. And sat down with my mum. We had bought a property in Thames years earlier. Wasn't worth much, but we could get 70K out of that. And I was like, cool, mum, is there any way we can make that happen? Yeah, cool. So I managed to drag 70K out of that. Threw it into the company, just paid a couple of subcontractors that needed to be paid. And we had a couple of jobs we were pricing that I was sort of just went all in on, really. Sorry, before I jump to that part, basically just decided, no, I'm not going to liquidate it. I'm I should. And looking back at it now, even now, I should have, because it was pretty dodgy. But just decided to try and trade out of it, and just went on a warpath, just cutting costs, reduced our staff over half, our contractors, renegotiated some contracts with subcontractors. One of the hardest things I ever had to do was I just draft up an email to all the guys that I've been working with for 10 years, and I just told them straight. I said to them, look, I've just met with the liquidator. They're telling me to liquidate. If you guys don't want to work with me anymore, that's cool. This is what my plan is. I promise right now, if this doesn't work out, I'll sell my house and you guys will get paid. But what I'm asking is just stick by me. If you can give me 3-6 months on these debts and maybe split them up for me, then that would be awesome. That'll give us a bit of a breathing space. And yeah, started cutting costs. Didn't pay myself for a long time. Everything went into basically paying down debts, negotiating payment plans of inland revenue. So to give you an idea, we were probably just under $1 million owed.
Wow.
At that point, from IRD, subcontractors, big placemakers bills. So credit to them. They stood by me. I was very transparent with them on where it was at. Subcontractors and things like that. So yeah, it was a lot of money, and I just went to war with it. Continued to win some contracts and things, and yeah, it took 3.5 years to get back to zero. We wouldn't have been able to do that if our subcontractors that we had owed, the guys that we had owed big money to, didn't give us some breathing space. So I'm, forever grateful to them, and they still are with me today. Most of them, I think one left, which due to another matter. So that was massive. And now those are guys that, man, you just bend over backwards for them if whatever they need, So yeah, that was sort of the 10-year mark. Took me 3 years to get out of that, and then probably look at the last 2.5 years has been really good. I reset, looked at systems, processes, and I've spoken a lot about that on my Instagram platform, just about how important it is and where I went wrong. And a lot of the stuff I do speak about on there is purely based on making mistakes, and I wouldn't change any of them, at this point, because I feel like I've kind of gone through this business apprenticeship of like, this is how bad it can get. This is how heavy the stress can become. Talk about the mental health side of things. There's been 2 or 3 times where I've sat by myself, once in my office, where I just thought, nah, this is it. It's too hard. Definitely crossed my mind to just end it. And thankfully, I've got a very supportive wife who's been with me through all of this, that has taught me away from that and just helped me refocus on what we're trying to do. Because ultimately, all these pains and things have just really helped me build quite a strong business now, which is great.
Well, that's, I can only imagine, and and the subbies that stood by you. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Ride or die kind of group you guys are now, probably. Is it still worth it, do you think, for young guys coming through to start your own building business?
Yeah, it's definitely worth it in terms of, like, again, I think I made a lot of mistakes purely based on I just had no idea about the risks and how to deal with money and how to manage money. I wasn't taught any of that. I obviously left school very early on. I was a great builder, great on the tools, but managing money and processes and systems and GST and tax and all that, it was very hard. So the advice I do give to young guys that are wanting to start companies is just to take their time nowadays and get the experience first, but also do some study while you're doing your trade. So do a business course, do some basic accounting, understand spreadsheets and things like that. because that's what really matters. And again, I think James said this on your last podcast, that you can be the best builder in the world or like on the tools. It has nothing to do with running a company, and running a company is extremely stressful, and so you just got to be ready for that. You either want it or you don't. And like as I say, I could have given up and just walked away and hit that button and burned everyone. And it's probably, as dark as that moment was for me, it's probably one of my most proudest things today, is that I didn't burn those guys who had families and things. They all got paid. They're all still with me. All my carpenters and stuff all got paid through that. They've never missed a payday. So that's in 15 years we've never missed a payday. Even when I was almost $1 million in debt, I've leveraged against my own house before they didn't get paid. So just ultimately it's like, be ready for it. Have some support there, because it's a bit of a ride, It's not all just the amazing pictures on Instagram, and just be ready for it.
Yeah. You got to have some big kahunas, I think, to just, to do it right. How's QBS different now to, I won't say competitors, 'cause I don't even know if you look at it like that, or maybe you still do from your rugby days, but how are you guys different?
Yeah, I think you have to stay competitive, 100%. I get a lot of my drive from looking at other guys in the industry, especially in Auckland, that I'm pricing against or working alongside in the market that we're in, and seeing what they're doing. That drives me. Completing projects. So that's a big one for me. Sorry, what?
The question was, how are you guys different? What's your sort of unique value proposition in the market, to use a fancy phrase?
Yeah, I think now coming through all of that, the way that we're different as a business in 2024 is probably just systems and processes. Everything has a place, and everything has a way that it needs to be done to make sure that the back end of the business is running well. That allows us to keep a real focus on the quality of the projects that we're doing, and also the communication with the clients and architects as well. Again, moving from being a builder into a business owner, you don't realise how much you need to put an emphasis on the communication and having that information tracked and managed, so you can refer back to it and keep things clear. Because so I would say that what makes us a better company these days is just those basics, really, business basics, that just make day-to-day life a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. And you've done a really good job in terms of putting yourself out there. Obviously, you got 10,000 or whatever followers on Instagram. That's always going to help. What other sort of marketing are you doing? You do a bit on Archipro. What sort of marketing do you focus on, and what do you feel like works the best out there?
Yeah, I've always been pretty big on the marketing side, and it's definitely helped us get leads and be put in a position to win work, even going right back to early days. Again, I think as a business, if you're making money, you need to be putting aside a certain percentage of that into marketing, whether you're busy or not. And that's just building the brand, or just keeping yourself relevant regardless, because work does dry up very quickly. Anything can happen. Unless that job is in a contract, we don't consider it a job. The client might say, hey, look, yeah, cool, we want to go ahead and build with you. That's great. Unless it's in contract, you don't know. Anything can happen. COVID happened. So marketing is just key. Just keep it going. I don't think builders do it enough. We're getting better, definitely. But I would say probably just diversifying it, hitting different things, not just obviously what's popular now, which is your boosted posts on Instagram, Facebook. They're great. We do them a lot. They're bloody expensive. And we've tried everything from TV, radio, flyer drops, boosted posts. Honestly, flyer drops are great, cheap. You know, you just got to find a young fella that's not going to dump them behind a tree and get paid. You know, he's actually going to put them in letterboxes. But yeah, absolutely crucial. You know, and I think builders just need to be considering that too when they're pricing jobs, building in you know, fat to take that on as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Very important. How do you demonstrate your value to a prospect if you're not the cheapest?
To a prospective client, obviously. Yeah, I don't think so. There's been a bit of this over the years. For some reason, I think a lot of people think we're really expensive. I think our rates and our margins are pretty much just average rates. Like, we're definitely not charging what plumbers and sparkies charge. That's for sure. I wish we were. And our margins, yeah, they're pretty standard as well. So like when we're talking to clients and things, we don't really discuss what our rate is and our margin is. We're pitching what they're going to get from us with the build, which is number one, it's going to be quality, really good communication, experience about, you know, how to build something, what's the best way to put it up, what's cost effective. And being able to sort of mix that all in with an architect and an engineer and them, and just ultimately, you know, deliver a total package to them from early on. Cost wise, I think we should be getting paid more, 100%. I think, and I'm all for that too. You know, our rates and things are for what we have to do on a job and provide to a client and deal with. Our rates are rubbish, you know, when you compare them to the rest of the trades and things.
I agree. Yeah. I think you have to essentially be responsible for 95% of the budget. Mm-hmm. You have to solve a million problems along the way.
Yeah,
you have to
first to get thrown under the bus. You know, like generally, like 100%. Anything goes wrong, even if it was one of the subbies, it's somehow it's our fault because we had the project manager, and it's like, yeah, it's difficult, you know. So, and then there's also, you know, the job ends, and it's not often it just ends and you just walk away from it. You're generally you're going to be back and forth a bit over the next couple of years, just adjusting a hinge, or, you know, so it's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Have you changed your mind lately about anything in terms of how you run your business? Is there sort of like a belief you used to have before that you don't have anymore, that you've changed?
Yeah, definitely. I think mainly just on the scale. I think I guess scale or growth. But early on, I had this mindset of just like, and again, it probably ties back to when I was a kid, but I wanted to do something different. So I didn't want to be just running two architectural jobs, you know, which is the smart thing to do. Just run two, or, you know, maybe three. In my head, it was like, we have to run in 8. You know, I want to push myself to a limit where I know no one else is doing that. And, you know, for 13 years, I had no PMs or nothing. I did everything from the project management side, admin and everything. It's only then the last 2 years we've brought in PMs, which has been great. But so I had this mindset of just like, almost like walking to the fire. You know, I think you mentioned this earlier. You know, like I want to try something that no one else is doing. And certainly in the last 2.5 years, 3 years, I've really started enjoying my family time a lot more. My stress level's lower, focusing a bit more on the health side, and being just generally, a more healthy person mentally and things. And not trying to, you know, like change the game with that, you know. So gone back to just let's have 3 or 4 jobs and let's run them really, really well. You know, I think we peaked at one point with 12 projects going, you know, all decent projects. And I don't ever want to go back to that for sure. It was just madness. So I'd say that's probably the biggest thing, is just like realizing how much stress that brought on myself and my family and things, and being a bit more safe.
Yeah, for sure. How do you navigate? You're talking about family. You got 3 daughters. That's cool. I've got 3 daughters, so I can definitely
You can relate,
relate
to the
with you
screaming and the Barbies and the rest of it.
Barbies and the emotions and everything like that.
Yeah,
but we love them. How do you navigate between being a dad, husband, and a business owner? Is there anything that you've learned over the years? Any sort of practical things that you've now have implemented around, just sort of navigate doing that a bit better, the transition between one to the other?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my oldest daughter, Indy's 12 now, so she's been, she's grown up with me in the business. And then Madison's 8 and Savannah's 7. So, they've also endured some pretty hard times. I'd say what I love now is that I used to wake up 6:30, get up out of bed 6:30, go to site, be at work 3 till 5, just full noise on the work side, and then I'd come home and fit in a little bit of them. As they just started growing and time just goes, that took a toll definitely on me mentally. So in the last 3 years, massive changes on that front. Now it's like wake up in the morning with them, have breakfast, do the school drop off, have a little bit of nice time with them, seeing them, do that sort of stuff, being able to be there for school pickups, being able to be at sports things and stuff that they have on, instead of back in the day it was like, I just can't, I can't get there. I need to do this or I need to do that, and also just helping Millie, my wife, with all of that as well. So that all comes from changing how I was running the company, and ultimately what I was putting on myself, and the goals that I had, which were just crazy. So yeah, that's been massive. And I've definitely enjoyed that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good change. What do you generally do when things don't always go to plan, as you've explained to me, and when shit hits the fan or you find yourself in a funk, how do you snap yourself out of that, and how do you sort of approach when you're not doing well mentally?
Yeah, there's a million things that could go wrong with building on and off site, in your personal life, and in the client's personal life, and in the neighbour's personal life, and the neighbour's dog's personal life. Like anything can go wrong. We've certainly seen everything, I hope, go wrong. So I know it's possible, and you just have to deal with that. For me, again, just coming back to spending more time on myself mentally, getting that calm time, getting a workout in and eating better, doing the cold baths and the saunas and all that sort of stuff, which everyone bangs on about. I definitely agree. It helps massively, and just being able to see through that foggy stuff, because look, issues come up, and if you're in a really good mental place to deal with it, they're pretty simple. No one's, touch wood, no one's died, cool. It's fixable, whatever it is. If it's a money thing, cool, let's deal with the money later. Let's just fix whatever's going on here. So yeah, just look after yourself. Have someone to talk to. You need someone to talk to, whether it's a wife or mate. I've certainly got a couple of mates that have been through all of this with me as well in their own businesses in construction, and it's been great to have them. If I didn't have them, that would be certain things over the years may have gone differently. So yeah, just do it all. Do everything that you can. That's at your disposal to keep yourself clear. Yeah,
no, I think that's good advice. You might have noticed that we got a new content partner.
Yep.
Abodo.
Yep.
Have you dealt with him before?
Yeah,
Worked with him before?
Great product.
A lot of builders say it's light, stable, easy to cut. Here's my propaganda over here. How have you found it working with it? Has it been good?
Yeah. Obviously, look, it's a great competitor to your cedar and things like that. Similar sort of product. Nothing bad to say about it. It was really hard to get at a certain point. That's all come right now. So, like all of your yeah, finishing timbers and things, it's expensive, but it looks amazing. You can pretty much pair it with anything, whether it's concrete and tiles and whatever you like.
Yeah.
So nothing bad to say about it. It's great to see that they've jumped on board to.
Yeah, they've definitely, we've had this conversation as well. They definitely were very vocal about how they during COVID they kind of dropped the ball. Some bits were in their control, but some bits were out of their control in terms of actually getting their hands on enough material. And so definitely been important for them to kind of come back, focus a lot more on builders. So and that's where we're aligned with them, which is kind of cool. So they're there to give back. So yeah, so they always joke with Lisa that works there that she always gives me propaganda to read about Obodo. This week we're going to just touch again on the sustainability aspect. So I didn't actually know that a lot of the timber comes from overseas. A lot of it comes from those old growth forests, which is essentially like unsustainable way of chopping it all up, and it ruins all the wildlife and all that sort of stuff, and then ships it over here.
Yeah.
So what these guys, they get all theirs straight from New Zealand, backyard. Apparently I didn't know that, but apparently New Zealand soil is really good for pine, and also the rainfall. It rains a lot here, so it's all like fast growing forests. So what do they call it? Whatever they call it. But essentially, it's way more sustainable. You don't have to ship it all around the world, and so that's why they focus on the sustainability aspect is really big. So I guess if builders' clients care about that, that's probably a good point to bring up as well around that sustainability aspect. They also don't use any chemicals or anything like that. So that's our little shout out to Obodo. So thanks, awesome, guys, for getting involved. Should we run through this rapid fire?
Yeah, go for gold.
Are you ready? So feel free to say pass or whatever if you want to, don't want to answer it. So how big is your team?
18 guys on the deck, yeah.
Cool. What's your crew mix?
We have, each site's run by a foreman. So generally you've got probably 6 guys that can be foreman, 4 at the moment. 6 or 7 qualified builders, and then 6 odd apprentices as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How many projects did you complete last year?
Last year was 6. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's your turnover range? Under 1, 1 to 3, 3 to 5 mil, 5 to 10 mil, 10 mil plus?
At the moment it's 10 plus. Yeah.
What's the lowest gross profit margin building companies should be aiming for?
My personal opinion would be 25%. Yeah.
Cool. That's good. Free quote or paid quote?
Definitely paid quote. That's what it should be. We certainly still get dragged into the free quotes, but something that needs to change. Yeah, for sure.
Project management software or spreadsheets?
Both.
Cool. EV or petrol head?
Petrol head. Yeah.
Classic rock or hip hop?
Hip hop.
Jock or hippie?
Neither.
Are you too mean or too nice to your staff?
Definitely too nice, I think. Yeah, definitely too nice, I think.
That's good. Be honest here, what's your most used emoji?
Oh, geez. That's a good question.
Don't lie.
My most used one, probably the dribble face one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Funny.
When the wife usually sends me a gym workout picture or something.
Yeah. Okay, good honesty there.
Yeah.
Are you extrovert or introvert?
Can I say like in the middle? Because probably I can be both. Yeah.
Yep. I'll allow it. Surf or golf?
Oh, definitely golf. Yeah.
Favorite business or non-business book?
Not big on books. Going back to the school days, mate. Terrible reaber.
Anything else? Podcast or?
But yeah, look, podcast Better Builder. Awesome. Big fan of Joe Rogan. Huberman as well. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I love those too as well. What's your favorite hobby?
Golf. Yeah. Well, close one there. Golf, gym. Love the gym, but yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Have you played at Tiari Links?
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful course.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Go there now.
Photos look amazing. I need to get out there.
Yeah.
Are you an alpha or beta male?
hate the alpha term. It's just I know I relate it to jocks, but which I'm not. But I'm definitely confident. But yeah, also quite an emotional, compassionate person, I think. Yeah.
Cool. Wine or whiskey?
Used to be whiskey, now it's red wine. Yeah, love a good red.
Makita, DeWalt, or Milwaukee?
DeWalt, yeah, easy.
Easy. Glass half empty or glass half full?
Half full, yeah.
Do you think more about the past or about the future?
I prefer thinking about the past and trying to learn from that. You can't control the future. Whatever happens, but
cool.
You can learn from the past.
Yeah. So more practically.
Yeah.
Troy, that was it, man. Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was great. But nerve-wracking. I don't know why, but yeah.
No, once you come sit here, it's a bit different.
Yeah. Once you get in a seat, the first couple of minutes, a bit tricky, but I've enjoyed it. Yeah, it's been good, and hopefully down the line can come back along. It'll be great.
Yeah, man. No, you did really well,
yeah.
and I had a really fun, and it was a great conversation.
Yeah.
And definitely going to have you back, and we're going to do some more stuff together. So yeah, appreciate you coming on.
Awesome, man. Thanks very much.